Democratic candidate for Attorney General Rochelle Garza, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. What is your path to victory?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. And our path to victory is by reaching every single voter in the state of Texas and educating them on this race. I'm running against criminally indicted Ken Paxton, and we need to let voters know that he does not deserve to be in office. He is unfit for office, and that I am going to fight for them. I'm here to fight for families and for the children of Texas.
For your race as Attorney General, what do you think is the biggest issue facing Texans, and what is your solution?
The biggest issue facing Texans is that we have leadership that isn't responsive to our families and to our needs. Ken Paxton has been under criminal indictment for more than 7 years. He is more concerned about staying out of prison than he is about serving the people of Texas. I'm here to fight for the children and the families of the state of Texas. That means fighting for consumer protection, making sure that the power grid failure has accountability, and fighting for everyday Texans.
And so a lot of Democrats are talking about abortion rights. You're among them. So how important is that to your campaign?
Abortion rights is absolutely critical. We have seen a complete obliteration of a woman's right to choose in the state of Texas. It is completely outlawed, and Ken Paxton has made sure through litigation that doctors cannot provide life-saving care to people who need an emergency abortion in an ER. This is absolutely critical. People are going to die. People are already dying in the state of Texas. So abortion rights is on the ballot in November, and a vote for a Democrat, a vote for myself, is a vote for abortion rights.
I was going to ask you, the new state law makes an exception for allowing an abortion if it saves the life of the mother. So are you referring to something else as far as?
The trigger ban, so it outlaws abortion in cases of rape or incest, and it has a very broad but also vague exception for when the mother's life is under threat. And so that means that doctors have to wait right up until a woman is septic before they do something to protect her life. Ken Paxton litigated to challenge that. He challenged the federal government's ability to tell doctors to provide life-saving care. That includes in Texas. So you cannot get life-saving care in an emergency room when you're having a miscarriage because of Ken Paxton.
Let me ask you about voters' rights. He was in Plano today, Ken Paxton was, and he was saying that if Texans elect you, that you oppose the voting rights legislation. So if you're elected, will you enforce the state law? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Voting rights is absolutely fundamental, and anyone who is eligible to vote should be allowed to vote. I want to make sure we have a fully funded civil rights division that protects the right to vote, not makes it harder for people. What we've seen is a concerted effort on Ken Paxton's behalf and on the top Republican leadership's behalf to make it harder for people to vote. That means elderly people, people with disabilities that are having a hard time submitting a mail-in ballot and having it thrown out. That's not something that I would support. I want to make sure that if you are eligible to vote, that you have the right to exercise that right.
Republicans say they want to make sure people don't cheat, and they want to be able to make sure that anybody who votes by mail is going through the same ID requirements that people have to do when they show up at the ballot box, at the polling places. Thoughts on that?
Look, Ken Paxton tried to undermine the 2020 election. He wasted our taxpayer money on challenging the 2020 election, and he may lose his law license because of it. Oh, and he's also making sure that our tax dollars go to protecting his license. So he is not pro-voting. He is not for voting rights. This is a red herring. I want to make sure that if you are eligible to vote in the state of Texas, that you have absolute access to that.
My last question to you is, just going back to the abortion issue, if you are elected, will you and the state law is the law right now, will you enforce it, or will you do everything you can to discourage enforcement?
Look, there is no right more fundamental than having the ability to decide if, when, or how to become a mother. I'm a mom myself. I have a 5-month-old daughter, and I want her to grow up in a state where she can decide for herself. And I know that every single Texan out there is concerned about their daughters, their sisters, their mothers, and we need to restore abortion access in the state of Texas. Women's lives, we're not expendable. We don't want to go backwards. We don't want to die. And the laws that we have right now, it's not only against the will of the people, because the people want access to abortion care, but we don't want women to die. That's not who we are. That's not Texas.
Rochelle Garza, thank you so much. We appreciate it.